All right, I've been requested by people. They're asking me why I'm not making any more videos about this virus pandemic. Uh, it's Sunday. I'm sitting out here on my back porch having a coffee. My collection of squirrels are running around the yard digging holes everywhere. And while the reason is the rhetoric and the nonsense, you know, if you watch it all, it'll drive you insane. I just go about my life and do the things I have to do, you know, to get by. Um, and every Friday afternoon, we have our coronavirus resistance group meeting, and that's where some of the local people we all get together and talk, because we're normal human beings. All right. They asked me, hey, you haven't made a video in a while, so I said, all right. But I do show this on Facebook, so there's a lot of local people that'll see this. If anyone knows how Capitan is doing, send me a text message or something, if you've been in contact with him, um, on how he's doing. But so, going on with this virus thing, like I said, I've been doing a lot of work around the house, and like most people, that's what everyone's doing. They're working on their yard, they're minding their own business. Everyone's got enough supplies. There aren't really no shortages, though they say that because they've interrupted uh, the meat processing and that, it was on the news, it's kind of a crisis. And when you do go to the store, it might be sold out. But if you wait a few days or something will show up. There is really no crisis. It's just the whole country, the whole economy, has all been thrown in a disarray. And what they do is they put all this out there. And whenever a group of people get together, there's people that got one idea on this whole thing, that it's a biological weapon, and they know this. The old Sergeant Major's carrying on because he studied this in the 30 years he was in the Army, that this is a weapon. And the one old Marine keeps carrying on about the Chinese eating bats, and that's what caused all of this, because they fried some bats up and created this virus. Um, all of that just adds to the confusion and the mayhem. Now, I know a couple people from overseas have told me, in different countries, that this can't be planned because nobody in charge knows what's going on. That's true. But if you use military strategy, the reason you have a surprise attack is because your opponent doesn't know this, throws them in a disarray. They're not prepared, and kind of this is what's happening globally. Okay. And the one thing I've noticed, what this is, and I keep saying it, it's an economic warfare. Okay, economical warfare. That's what's going on. It's an eco war. And what they're doing is they're going to have a globalized monetary system. And because the United States, most of Western Europe, Canada is no slouch either. All of these countries have a fairly sound economy and are up at the higher end in being what they call developed nations. Okay. Then you have like your third world nations, the ones that aren't industrialized, don't have a lot of wealth and that. Well, if you're going to run a global economy, you can't have 30% of the world up here at this high level and 40% of it down with nothing, and then in the middle or some other places. You gotta make it even. And what I think's going on is they are going to force a global government and a global economy, which means you must have an even playing field. Now, the communists went out of business. They have some strange form. I don't know what goes on over there. Can't say it's socialism, but most other countries are socialist government, where the government does regulate and control a lot of things. That's jobs, pay, money, all that. There ain't nothing wrong with it. If I really loved it a lot, I'd just pack my bags and move to England or, France or something like that. But see, this is what's going on, and people don't realize it. And because just looking at people in general, I go to Costco, go to the pharmacy. And this is where it's getting ridiculous and people are fed up. So we're staying in line. There was nobody there. There's a guy ahead of me. He asked for his prescription. Now they got this plexiglass barricade, okay, with signs, do not touch glass or nothing. And the person behind there's in a mask. I couldn't hear him talk because my hearing's shot, and then they're mumbling and pissed off. And so the guy goes to go get his prescriptions, and he gets his card out and everything. He took a step forward towards the counter, and the woman goes, stand back. And I'm like, oh. So he's standing there, and then what they do is they'll ring up your prescriptions, and then they show you behind the glass. Is this your name? Is this your name? Yeah. You ring it all up, and then when you use the little pad to pay for it, they sign it, do this and everything, and then it rings it up. And the guy was paying in cash. So all this crap, don't touch nothing, don't do that. He pulls money out of his wallet, hands it to the individual, has to reach around this guard, and then they give him the change back. Okay? It's like, there's your germ thing right there. So once this guy is done and leaves, they tell me to wait. And then they go and spray down the whole counter and wipe it off. I mean, scrub everything with a disinfectant, all this other stuff. Okay? We're ready for you. I come up, and I already knew not to get close, so I tell them my name, get my prescriptions, and they hold up the things behind the barricade. Yeah. I said, I had 3 of them. And, well, you only get the 2, you got to call it in again. So, okay, so customer service, really nice. All right. And I'm paying with a debit card. So they go, don't touch nothing, don't come near it. And they go to a little pad and check off, you're supposed to check off prescriptions, put a signature, and they say, we're just putting COVID-19. And then they turn it around, tell you to stick your card in and press the keypads. All right, pull the card out. They don't wipe the keypads off because that would probably short circuit the electronics in there. But then they go and wipe the whole counter. I didn't touch the counter. Nothing touched the counter. I didn't touch the barricade like they said. I don't want to do that and upset no one. And to me, it's ridiculous. You're not going to stop this virus no matter what, doing this insane stuff, making the employees do this crap. And I think that's what it is. The reason the employees are aggravated is you're doing this and it's meaningless. Okay, and then now, I guess Whole Foods and Costco, after a certain date, you have to wear a mask or they're not letting you in the building. Which, as far as I'm concerned, that means I'm going to go shop somewhere else. Okay, because I ain't wearing a mask. I don't believe it helps you. Now, I do know I have some friends that, they're, part of their job is like working in an office or dealing with the public. Whether they're sales or managers, they have to be in contact with people for their job. And they do wear masks. And they probably have to or they will be terminated. Okay? And I understand that. I understand if you're working in an office where you're with people. When I had the bank emergency, I had to make an appointment, go to the bank, go to one of the people at the desk and straighten something out. And when the girl let me in, I had to call her, make an appointment. Then I came and knocked on the door. She let me in, closed the door, took me to her desk. And it must be, she's the one that handles all customers that have to come in. And there was 2x4s with a piece of plywood on this desk between the two of us with an opening so I could slide, my identification cards and whatever the problem was, paperwork. It's not going to stop the spread of the virus. They're acting like, if this was like a plague, there'd be a lot more people dead, okay? I mean, yes, people are sick people are dying and ill. I'm not making light of that, but not it's not as bad as they're trying to let it up. And you're just bombarded with this psychological thing of stay at home, everything's all right, everything will get better. Well, if you go out in your yard and that, I don't have a lot of contact with people, but I stay busy around the house. I mean, for people living in a city in an apartment where you're cooped up inside, yeah, that could be kind of difficult. But people got to live. It's unrealistic to demand that everyone just stay put, don't come out of your house, and there are people that do that, okay? All right, and I think it's wrong, okay? And what's going on, like I said, is if you're looking, this is the key things. So everybody's hole up. Some people like me just drive around like nothing. It's just certain things are closed, and I still go to the gas station. I still go to the post office that's still open. It may close soon, and go about my business. But you have some people that don't do it. There are people that just have the stuff ordered, food, everything, and brought to the house, and don't go outside. But cutting through all this, cutting through all the inconvenience, look at what's going on. There are people losing their jobs. There are things shutting down. There are people who are not doing well financially because of all this. The economy stopped. Now, our governor said he's going to prolong this and maybe start opening things up. But then he does this catch in there. He's telling you, well, by then we'll have test kits. I guess they're only testing the very ill. Then we're going to test everyone, okay? All right, but he goes, then I'm going to see that number come up, and if the number goes up, then I'm going to have to shut everything down. Well, if you're only testing people that are in the hospital sicker than hell because you don't have enough test kits, then all of a sudden you get 10,000 test kits and just randomly test 10,000 people, and yes, your reported cases are going to go up. And if you're using this as a basis, it's common sense. That's going to happen. So basically, this guy's telling us that he starts opening it up, he's going to have another excuse to shut everything down. Now, this combined with the fact that they keep telling you that all of this is going to happen again in September, October, and when the flu season starts in the fall, this whole thing is going to start all over again. And what the problem is there's a ton of people been cut loose. I ain't talking laid off. I'm talking you're done. You're fired. They no longer have a job. Even when the restrictions are lifted, they're unemployed. Okay? And they're getting rid of a lot of healthcare workers, too, laying them off and that. And then I have no idea how they're going to reopen the schools and keep it where, kids are together and this and that. And I don't know how they're going to do that unless they shut schools down forever. Okay? And then the cost of doing all this stuff is going to drive the taxes up. Drive up the taxes to keep the schools going, it's going to bankrupt the economy. So you got people unemployed, you're going to increase taxes to pay for all this ridiculous nonsense. And what it looks like is they're restructuring the economy. You're going to see, my wife has the opinion, that once all this ends, even if you have a job, somehow they're going to adjust it to where you're going to have a lower pay. And the reason they're getting rid of a lot of people and just cutting them loose is they don't have any job. Okay, so now if they do find a job after this crisis has ended and they're telling you you're going to do that job for 20-30% less salary, then you got no choice or go under. Okay, so I believe this is what the underlying thing is. And another thing, a lot of people I know are retired, and they're looking at their 401ks, and I mean when it dropped, and now their income has been crippled. Okay, even the ones that are retired and supposedly living on a fixed income, these people are hurting. Okay, and this is going on and on. So it is a form of a takeover, and it is, like I said, a type of warfare. And it's global. It's not just the U.S., it's everywhere. All people are suffering, and what it appears to be is they're going to try sooner or later. I don't believe immediately, but they're going to use this as an excuse. And people are foolish enough to believe these lies and stuff. Okay, because a lot of people, I see them out there, I shake hands with them and then I go, "You're not afraid?" And they go, "No, well, you don't really look sick." And, you know, they know it's BS, plain and simple. Okay? Because if this virus was as terrible as it was, um, you know, a lot of people I know wouldn't be around or be ill, and they're not. So I don't know where all this is coming from, but that's what it basically, the underlying thing, that's what it looks like. Okay, so be prepared, see what happens, because I don't think it's going to be good for anybody in the end. You're going to see a massive change to society and everything on a global basis. It's not just your area or your town, it's going to be um, a huge change for everyone involved. All right, well, have a nice weekend and stay tuned.